In the frozen expanse of the Central Asian steppes, one of history's most feared peoples forged their empire. The Mongols faced not only powerful enemies in battle, but also an invisible and relentless adversary: extreme cold. Harsh winters, cutting winds, and frozen landscapes shaped nomadic life and tested the endurance of both warriors and animals. Surviving in this hostile environment required far more than physical strength. It demanded discipline, ingenuity, and constant adaptation. In this video, we will explore how the Mongols endured brutal temperatures, secured food amid scarcity, and turned the adversity of the climate into part of their strength, sustaining the expansion of one of the greatest empires the world has ever known.
The steppes of Mongolia are not just vast plains, but a land marked by extremes. In summer, the heat could be suffocating, but it was in winter that the true trial arrived. Temperatures would easily drop to -30 degrees Celsius or lower, accompanied by biting winds that seemed to pierce the skin and reach the bones. For a nomadic people, constantly on the move and reliant on nature for survival, the cold was more than discomfort. It was a constant threat to life. The livestock, the foundation of Mongol subsistence, suffered as well. Horses, yaks, and sheep had to endure the ice to provide transport, food, and clothing. If the animals perished, entire families were at risk. A harsh winter could turn a journey into tragedy, with whole herds lost in snowstorms. Moreover, the monotony of the white landscape hid treacherous dangers. Frozen rivers that could give way underfoot, sudden blizzards that disoriented travelers, and the constant scarcity of firewood. It required iron discipline to prepare before the cold arrived, stockpiling food, reinforcing tents, and planning safe routes. For the Mongols, surviving the winter was not a choice, but an obligation dictated by the land itself. To endure the relentless winters of the steppes, the Mongols developed ingenious solutions that ensured the survival of both their families and their animals. Their clothing was made of multiple layers of fur and felt, materials that insulated the body and retained heat even in freezing temperatures. Foxes, sheep, and yaks provided the leather and wool needed to create durable garments capable of withstanding cutting winds. The nomadic dwellings, known as gurs or yurts, were another essential element. Built with wood and covered in felt, these portable tents were designed to withstand strong winds and retain internal warmth. Inside, a central fire maintained the temperature, and since wood was scarce on the steppes, the Mongols used dried dung as fuel, providing both heat and a means to cook. Horses, inseparable companions, also played a vital role. Resistant to the cold, they could dig through snow with their hooves to find pasture, allowing them to survive without constant feed supplies. For the people, foods like dried meat and fermented milk were stockpiled, ensuring energy during months when hunting and foraging were limited. This nomadic discipline, combined with communal and supportive life in the camps, transformed a hostile environment into a habitable space, shaping the strength and resilience of the Mongol people. Surviving the cold was not just a matter of clothing or shelter, it was also a test of collective organization. Among the Mongols, each family had clear responsibilities within the camp. While some tended the animals, others were in charge of maintaining the tents, gathering fuel, or preparing food. This division of labor prevented wasted time and energy, both vital in an environment where every detail could mean the difference between life and death. Discipline was equally crucial. The Mongols had the habit of stockpiling supplies well in advance, both for themselves and for their animals. Dried meat, fermented milk, and hard cheeses were carefully stored, ensuring sustenance during the long winter nights. Survival depended not on luck, but on meticulous preparation that began months before the cold arrived. Another essential factor was the sense of community. No one faced the winter alone. Neighboring families shared resources in times of need, and the collective always took precedence over the individual. This spirit of solidarity ensured that even the most vulnerable, elderly, children, and the sick were protected, strengthening the social cohesion of the group. It was this combination of discipline, planning, and solidarity that allowed the Mongols not only to survive, but to thrive in one of the harshest environments on Earth. Food was one of the pillars of Mongol survival during the harsh winter. With snow covering the pastures, hunting and foraging were nearly impossible, making dried meat and fermented milk, kumis, indispensable. These foods not only lasted for weeks or months, but also provided the energy needed to endure extreme temperatures and long journeys. Horses played a dual role. Beyond transport and labor, they were an emergency food source. In critical situations, the Mongols could consume fresh meat or even drink the animal's blood, ensuring immediate survival without completely compromising the mobility of the herd. This practice, extreme by modern standards, was part of the adaptation required in an environment that punished any weakness. Physical endurance was cultivated from an early age. Children learned to cope with intense cold, deep snow, and biting winds, strengthening both body and mind. Daily exercises, hunting, riding, and short expeditions were part of the routine, creating warriors capable of withstanding conditions that would destroy other peoples. The combination of an energy-rich diet, maximum use of natural resources, and constant training turned the cold into a manageable challenge. For the Mongols, hunger and ice were not insurmountable enemies, but daily tests that shaped their strength and determined the survival of the entire group. The extreme cold of the steppes was not just a challenge for daily survival, but also a strategic weapon in the hands of the Mongols. They learned to use winter to their advantage, turning conditions that destroyed enemy armies into a tactical edge. European or Chinese troops, accustomed to milder climates, suffered from freezing, hunger, and disorientation, while the Mongols advanced with relative ease. Camps were organized to allow rapid mobility. Families quickly dismantled their gurs and transported supplies and animals without wasting time, maintaining the flexibility necessary for surprise attacks. Cold-resistant horses enabled long marches even in extreme temperatures, and the ability to find pasture beneath the snow gave the troops autonomy. Moreover, the Mongols adapted their combat strategies to the climate. Attacks were often planned during blizzards or days of extreme cold, moments when the enemy was most vulnerable. Speed and surprise were essential. Discipline and coordination allowed small units to defeat much larger forces. Winter shaped the art of war, and the Mongols understood it better than anyone. Every campaign was planned with climate, geography, and the physical endurance of the troops in mind. This combination of environmental knowledge, mobility, and discipline turned the cold into a silent weapon, exponentially increasing the effectiveness of their armies. Survival on the frozen steppes depended not only on strategy and equipment. The physical and cultural resilience of the Mongols was essential. From an early age, children were accustomed to intense cold, deep snow, and biting winds, developing bodies and minds prepared to endure extreme hardships. Games, hunting, and short journeys on horseback served as daily training, shaping resilient warriors from childhood. Mongol culture valued discipline, adaptability, and endurance. Each member of the group had a role, and social cohesion was vital for facing the harshest months. Traditions, rituals, and stories passed down through generations reinforced a survival mindset, reminding everyone of the importance of cooperation, respect for natural resources, and readiness for emergencies. This combination of physical preparation, discipline, and cultural values turned cold and scarcity into elements that strengthened the group rather than weakened it. Men and women learned to face not only the hostile environment, but also emotional and psychological challenges, creating a population capable of enduring where other peoples would succumb. For the Mongols, winter was a rigorous school that taught endurance, ingenuity, and solidarity, shaping not only exceptional warriors, but an entire people adapted to the harshest environment they knew. The deadly cold of the steppes could have destroyed any unprepared people, but the Mongols turned adversity into strength. Every tent, every animal, every route, and every stored food supply was part of a survival system built on discipline, ingenuity, and solidarity. What seemed impossible to others was routine for them. Endure, adapt, and thrive in one of the harshest environments on Earth. This ability to face extremes shaped not only warriors, but an entire people, capable of conquering vast territories without ever succumbing to the forces of nature. If you enjoyed discovering how the Mongols survived the cold of the steppes, subscribe to the channel and follow for more epic stories from the Middle Ages.